Across Africa, agriculture is the predominant sector in the economies of most countries, accounting for between 30 to 40% of gross domestic product, and the sector is a leading source of jobs for over two-thirds of Africa's population. In Kenya, despite the fact that the agricultural sector contributes about 30% of the gross domestic product and accounts for 80% of national employment, mainly in the rural areas, farmers face crippling challenges in the agricultural value chain.
If we want to see this country grow, the cost of capital has to come down. Why is it in the West, right? Like in the UK, for example, lending to an SME interest rates are 2 to 5%. Germany, the same. US, the same. Why is the lending in African countries 15 to 25%? Doesn't make sense. Something systematically, the cost of capital is high, and I know everybody talks about risk, but we need to find a way, whether it's technology, whether it's talking to the financial sectors, whether it's, development institutions, something needs to be done. If the cost of credit is not lowered, the continent, the country, the sector cannot thrive.
Besides the financial burden, there is also the climate change crisis, which has become a reality much faster than all scenarios predicted. And that's the situation at hand, begging the question, what next? For many years, farming has always been considered as a business of hope, and this is because of the uncertain market. Now, farmers are changing tact and they are embracing contract farming. This farming model, which involves agricultural production being carried out on the basis of an agreement between the buyer and the farm producers, has enabled farmers not only access stable markets, but also embrace good agricultural practices.
It is a good idea. Most people would think this is something that doesn't work, but for us it has worked over the years. We began small with 5,000 birds in 2012, moved up, upgrading the business and doing bigger houses, and currently we are doing 20,000 birds in a span of 5 weeks, that is 35 days. Anyone out there that wishes to do contract farming, please be encouraged. It may not look like it fetches a lot, but it is an assurance that you can do it over and over. And I would wish that we give it a try. Contract farming is the perfect thing, especially on the marketing of the products.
Contract farming has many agro-based advantages, and it's a fast-growing practice, but it has not lacked its fair share of challenges. One of the issues that has come up when interacting with farmers that are doing contract farming is the feeling that they are not involved in decision making. For instance, they don't have control of some of these prices that they get. How do we fix this?
The problem sometimes becomes, in terms of contract farming, and I keep going back to this, is lack of trust. Buyers feel that even though there's a contract, if a farmer gets paid 10 bob more, they'll go somewhere else. So they don't trust the farmers to a certain extent. Farmers feel that these buyers are not taking any of the risk, they're not doing anything, and they're not paying me enough. They're not paying me what I should get paid. So that lack of trust means that although in theory contract farming is great, it can have difficulties. So first of all, it's building the trust between the buyer and the farmer, and I think definitely co-creation, discussion points in terms of pricing, why the pricing is at a certain place. Now, think about it from a farmer's perspective. A farmer finds out that a buyer has bought this from me from 20 bob and then they're selling it at 200 bob. So they will think, I'm getting, like this is just unfair. But if a buyer is able to explain, well, it's 200 bob because actually, out of that 15 bob has gone for, transport, for cess, for cold storage. So actually the profit margin that I'm making is this much because I'm taking on all of this. I think a farmer is more likely then to be able to understand that perspective. On the other side, the buyer also has to understand the farmer's position. The farmer is taking all the risk. They're growing, they're doing all of this. They also need to be given a good return, because if they're not given a good return, what is the point? And there are buyers out there who are actually willing to pay a fair price and an above market price, provided they can get good quality and consistency.
Well, it's a venture that will require all players on board for it to thrive. And that's why the International Conference on Contract Farming could not have come at a better time.
The main objective of this conference is to try and ensure that farmers' produce does not go to waste, that they are able to take it to the market, that they are able to get people, off-takers, who will take their produce. And the off-takers are assured of a sustainable, quality, and consistent supply of raw materials. Then we can only move forward. We will discuss many topics about contract farming. Number one, maybe being the offtake agreements, because that has been a challenge. When I've spoken to farmers who've done contract farming before, there's going to be models of contract farming and benefits. There is going to be policy to ensure that the policies guiding the contract farmings are good, and many other topics.
As key stakeholders converge for the inaugural International Conference on Contract Farming, the critical question is, how is contract farming going to revitalize the agricultural sector? The answers lie not just in the dialogues, but the actions that will be taken in the coming days.